Blog Talk Radio.
Thank you for joining us for live paranormal radio. From the paranormal to the unexplained, it all happens here. It all happens here. Looking to enhance your radio experience? Participate in our live video chat 24/7 with our live paranormal radio show hosts and other like-minded people. Live. Paranormal.com, the only interactive social chat room supported by Full Interaction Media. Stop by now and join the fun. Stop by now and join the fun.
The views expressed here within the programs and chats do not necessarily represent the views of LiveParanormal.com.
You're listening to Live Paranormal Radio at liveparanormal.com. You are listening to Shriekfest Radio.
Good evening and welcome to Shriekfest Radio. This is Denise Gossett. I am the festival founder and director and your hostess for the evening. Welcome. Shriekfest is a horror, thriller, sci-fi, fantasy film festival, screenplay competition, and we even have a music video category. And we are currently celebrating our 17th year. And we're celebrating this 17th year by adding another branch of Shriekfest. Yes, you heard that right. Shriekfest LA is October 5th through the 8th, and Shriekfest Orlando is October 21st. Super, super excited. It's amazing. 17 years building it up in LA, and there's an event every second of every day in LA, and people don't exactly bend over backwards to help you get those events going. And what I've been finding out, it's very, very interesting. Orlando has welcomed us with open arms, bending over backwards to help us with things. Monday, I did an interview for the magazine Lake Mary Life, which is right next to the city where we're holding Shriekfest Orlando. And they're going to do like this huge spread on us, announcing it. It's going to be out in their September issue, which is perfect timing. The main newspaper in Orlando, the Orlando Sentinel, I've spoken to as well. I mean, everybody's really, really open to it. It's super exciting. It's just a lovely change of pace from the things you have to go through to get things known in Los Angeles. So that's super exciting. Our website is shriekfest.com. Call for entries has closed. Yes, I know, it is closed. However, we still will be judging for quite a while. If you have a project that you are just dying to get in, email us, email at shriekfest.com, and ask us, and we might be able to accommodate. We are still judging away. I've been just watching all kinds of amazing films and reading these wonderful scripts. It just blows my mind every year how talented everyone is. Super exciting. We are on Facebook and Twitter. Come give us a follow and a like. We would appreciate that. Let's see, announcements. Our next Shriekfest Presents will be Halloween 2 at the New Art. Yes, we've teamed up with the New Art. And so that is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have some special guests, so make sure you get your tickets early. And that is going to be August 25th. So if you go to the New Art site, you can get your tickets early. Also, we are doing a Shriekfest block of short films at Scare LA again this year. So that'll be Saturday, August 5th. We will be there all weekend, so come say hello. But Saturday, August 5th at noon, I believe it is, will be our block, or it's like an hour and a half block of shorts with some Q&A with filmmakers. So if you missed Shriekfest last year, definitely come out to Scare LA. You can catch the films that were in last year's festival. All amazing. And like I said, a lot of the filmmakers will be there as well to answer questions. So I think that is all of the announcements. We have a monthly newsletter you can sign up for at our website. And tonight's call-in number, if you have a question for myself or my guest, is 347-202-0316. 347-202-0316. And I'm super excited about my guest tonight. He has been involved with Shriekfest for many years now. So let's see. Let's go back. In 2014, he had a semifinalist screenplay, Behind You. In 2015, he had The Apocalypse Chronicles. In 2016, last year, he was a finalist with a short screenplay called Walter's Days. I am super excited to welcome to the show writer, producer, director, editor, actor, camera, sound. He's done a little bit of everything. Nathan Ludwig. Nathan, welcome to Shriekfest Radio.
Oh, well, thank you, Denise. It's so good to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
I am so glad you're on here. So super excited to chat because, let's see, I want to find out what you've been up to since the festival and all those good things. So let's see. Let's start out first with, are you doing good or how are you doing? You doing good?
Oh yeah, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good too.
I bet you're super busy right now going.
Oh my gosh, Nathan, you have no idea. Like it's to the point where, you know, and I keep up with everything. I like to watch and read everything just to kind of, you know, double check my judges and make sure, because really I'm the only one that knows like what's par for Shriekfest course. So I watch and read everything.
Yeah, you know what's best for the festival. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I am to the point in my life, I'm going to take like a tiny little vacation this weekend. But basically I'm watching like 8 movies, 8 features a day. And I'm to the point where, I'm almost through all the films, and then I will be reading like 8 scripts a day. It's going to be brutal. Yeah, it is every year, but it's all good. It's really good. But it's, you know, most of it's just double checking and going, yes, they were accurate on this, that sort of thing. But I enjoy it all. We're going to talk more about that later because I know you've got some things going on too.
Sure. Yeah, I missed out submitting to Shriekfest this year. I'm kind of bummed out because I had a screenplay.
Nathan, if you have something, you can still get it in. If you have something you want to get in, we are still accepting because, like I said, we're going to be judging for a while still, and people keep emailing, please, I missed it. So if you do have something, you are more than welcome to still get it in. You just have to email it. You can't do it through the site. So you'll email the script and entry form and all that good stuff. So just know that it's still open because I'm going to have my judges for several more months, so we're all good.
Oh, wow.
We just have to close it early. Yeah. We have to close it early or we will not get through.
No, I totally get it.
I know you do. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Nathan, where did you grow up?
Well, I was born in a little town in Massachusetts called Stoughton, Massachusetts. I was there for a cup of coffee. My dad worked for the government, so we traveled all over the place. He worked for the State Department. So as soon as I was born, we were back just in time for me to be born, and then we lived in Poland. We lived in the Philippines, where my sister was born, and then we lived in Hungary for about 3 years, and then we finally came to the States in about 87. I'm about 37 years old. Yeah. Did he work for the government? Did he work for the government all those years? Yeah. He retired in 2002 from the government. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so why were they sending you to all these countries?
He was a communications expert for the State Department that worked in embassies. So he would go to all the different embassies. Oh my gosh! Yeah.
What a life!
I went to school. Yeah, I went to school with like a whole bunch of different kids from different countries. So they were all all the government workers. So I got to know like multiculturalism very early on, and it wasn't a thing for me at all. So which was really good. It was great for me. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Wow. Gives you a lot to write about, too, I'm sure.
It does. Yeah, a lot of crazy characters. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I bet. Wow, that is really, really cool. So then with all this traveling around and everything, how old were you when you knew, like, hey, I'm really enjoying this writing thing?
You know, I had always been into movies, you know, just as much as anyone else. It wasn't really until I was in the Army in my early 20s when I realized I could write screenplays, because for a while, you know, before the internet and before all that stuff, it was just, you know, just write, do what you can do. And I'd always, you know, written short stories. I'd always been into that. But then just one day a light bulb went off. He goes, you know what? I love movies. I like writing short stories. Why don't I just try writing screenplays and see what happens? And I ended up being kind of good at it. I mean, you know, for my level. And that's where it started, probably like, you know, early mid-20s. And I've been, you know, working on screenplays since then. So I'd say about 12 years or so. Yeah.
Wow. So Nathan, did you kind of self-teach or did you go to school?
Yes. I self-taught. I got all the screenwriting books, Sid Field and all that stuff, Robert McKee, and picking up all those books and kind of self-teaching. And, you know, back when they had, I don't think they have the print versions anymore, but when they used to have print versions of Creative Screenwriting and Script Magazine, I used to love getting those every month and tearing those apart. So, yeah, I'm self-taught. Trial and error. My first couple of screenplays, like most writers, are just absolutely terrible. So, yeah, I'm not showing those to anybody. So, but, you know, you get better. You keep practicing just like anything else, and you get better at it. That's the way it goes.
Well, I love that you're self-taught, because, you know, there's so many people out there that think they can't write because they haven't gone to school for it. And I'm always telling people, you just do. I mean, especially nowadays, like you said, you can get the books. You can find all kinds of things online. You just try. I mean, even people who go to school have to try that first crappy draft of a script. We all have them.
Oh, yeah, we have them, some more than others. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to do it that way, too, just to learn on your own and just, you know, pick and choose what screenwriting experts to listen to or to get your advice from, reading, you know, picking the books that you want to read, and it's kind of an adventure and a journey all of its own. And you find out what your strengths and weaknesses are as far as a writer is concerned. So it's been a great journey for me.
Oh, I'm sure. And, okay, so now, how supportive were your parents? Did they think, no,
they always
crazy
knew.
Industry?
Well, I mean, they always knew that I was a writer from a little age. So they you know, great. I was creative. So, you know, when I started writing, you know, horror screenplays, not that I just only like horror, but it's, you know, I enjoy writing horror screenplays and short stories. Like, oh yeah, I knew it, kind of like, you know, that's what he's going to do. So,
right.
So it was more like, is this what you're going to do? What else are you going to do instead of just this? And it kind of went from there. And now they just know this is what I'm doing. So now it's just like, oh, okay, well, whatever, that's fine.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. Okay, so last year you had a short script, Walter's Days. Let's talk a little bit how you came up with that idea and go from there.
Okay, well, this should be fun. My co-writer, Charles Hill, I co-wrote Walter's Days and our feature screenplay, The Apocalypse Chronicles, with him. I met him at film school. Disclaimer, we went to film school at Full Sail University in Orlando. And it's a tech school. It's like almost like an apprenticeship school.
That school has grown so much because I'm from Orlando, and I cannot believe how huge it is now.
Yeah, it has grown leaps and bounds. I mean, just after I left, they had put in so many facilities for television and production, and you know, it's a great school. It's a very hands-on school. Doesn't really focus a lot on story or character or screenwriting much. It's mostly just behind the camera stuff, which is fine. Which is what I need practice in that, because I'm not very good at that stuff. So it was great to get a kind of a crash course in that. So, you know, we met in film school, and we had the same kind of ideas and imagination and creativity. So we have to write screenplays together. And, you know, later on after we gotten out of school, we came up with this idea on Skype for Walter's Days, because we love those kinds of stories. Groundhog Day, The Edge of Tomorrow, Cabin in the Woods. It kind of brings all those movies together into a short screenplay that just is fast-paced, and it's got repetition for laughs and for shock, but also it's just kind of a fun ride. So that was one of the most fun screenplays I've had a chance to write. It was, some screenplays, even the really good ones, kind of take a lot out of you to try to just rewrite draft after draft. That one was just pure fun to write. It's 12 pages. It really hasn't changed much since then as far as 12 pages, even when we rewrite it. So it was just so much fun to write. And we were just breaking each other up, breathlessly laughing over Skype over what we can do, what's the next gag that we can do to this poor guy. So, and for those that are listening that don't know, the plot of the screenplay Walter's Days is this guy, Walter, is just an unassuming everyman. He wakes up in a field, and he's narrating the screenplay the entire time, and he's basically telling us he's been in this field over and over again for, he doesn't even remember how many days, 80, 90 days, and he just keeps getting murdered over and over again in these increasingly ridiculous ways that no one usually gets killed in. And he's just become nonplussed by the fact, and he can barely even remember like how he's been killed and who's been doing the killing, and he's trying to get to the bottom of it, but it's kind of like a very quirky, but also kind of like gross out, funny, like horror sci-fi, and there's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It really is fun. I love reading short scripts. I think they're just a blast. Well, just like watching short films. You're in and you're out, and they're just great. It's just fun.
Yeah, you do find those sometimes, and I think the biggest problem with a lot of short films is that a lot of them don't know how to end their film. I don't know if you've noticed that too, where it almost seems like just a scene from a feature film. It's not really, because when you watch a lot of short films, as you do, you notice that like, oh, it's just, this is good, but it was just kind of like a scene from a bigger film where they don't really have a beginning or an ending kind of. So I think people that can do that in short screenplay form really have something there. So. Yeah,
that's true. Well, and Nathan, a lot of these short films, they are a scene from a feature, and like they made the film to try to get the money to make the feature. And often, like as a festival programmer, you look and you're kind of like, wait, what is going on here? And then when you realize, oh, okay, this is part of a feature, but like you said, it often doesn't work.
Yeah,
there's no end.
That's great for like an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter, but if you're submitting it to a film festival, you gotta have a beginning, a middle, and end. It doesn't matter if your movie is a minute long; you still have to do it. So, I think a lot of people, a lot of people try at it, and a lot of people are better at it than others, and it's just fun to see. Short films are just like the Wild West when it comes to narrative. Still, I think there's so much that you can get away with in a short film compared to a feature film.
Yeah.
So
they're fun. They're fun. Now, what do you think makes you want to write?
Well, as far as making me want to write, if you're a writer, you have to write. You're a writer, and it doesn't matter if you're a paid writer, if you're not a paid writer. Or if you're a writer, you feel like you have to write every day, and if you're not writing, you're thinking about writing. And I know that's a quote from somebody. I can't remember who it is, but that's like my favorite quote. If you're a writer, if you're not writing, you're thinking about writing. And that's what I do. I think about writing when I'm not writing. What should I be working on? What can I be working on? Always working on multiple different ideas at the same time. And I just love telling stories. I love, especially in screenplays, I just love making characters talk to each other. That's one of my favorite things, is kind of just seeing where that goes and where these characters go. And it can be frustrating, but it can be like the most fun you can have as a writer too at the same time.
And do you like picture the characters in your head? Do you have actors in mind as you're writing, or how does it work for you?
Sometimes I have actors in mind, but mostly I can just picture the person as if they were an actual person in my head just talking. It comes from the dialogue. It starts with the dialogue, and there's like a rhythm to the way that they talk, and through that I can kind of envision what that person would look like in real life. And sometimes it's like, oh, this actor would be perfect for that role. Other times it's just, what would this person look like if they were just a real person? And a lot of times that just develops through the dialogue and through the way they interact with their characters. And sometimes as like a writing exercise, and I recommend this for anyone out there that's listening that wants to sharpen their writing tools, just put your characters in a room together. It doesn't even matter if it's the good guy and the bad guy. Just put them all in a room together and have them start talking to each other. And it doesn't even matter if the reason that they're in the room makes sense. Just have them displaying their character traits to each other back and forth. And it can be the most oddball conversation in the world, but you've got these characters talking to each other, and through that, you might not even use that stuff for your screenplay, but you're developing your characters all the way. So I really do recommend that writing exercise. It helps me out a lot when I get like writer's block.
And do you actually use the scene that you came up with, or it's just kind of to open you up?
Most of the times, no, I don't use that scene. It's just to open you up, kind of break the ice with yourself, with your screenplay. Sometimes I'll take a line here and there from that, and I'll use it, but a lot of the times, yeah, it's just a way to get yourself going and get yourself excited about what you're writing again.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nathan, okay, so I'm an actor, and I've gotten to the point where I feel like I need to start producing things to star in. And, of course, I need a script. So I've been looking at scripts, and I've been trying to write. And when you said if you're a writer, you're either writing or you're thinking about writing, I'm not thinking about writing at all. It's more of like, crap, well, I need an idea. It's like that sort of thing.
Right.
And then when I do sit down to write, it's like torture. It's just torture. And so maybe I'll try your little tip of the get your characters all in the same room and see what happens.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, if anything else. So I definitely
Sure.
recommend it. But sometimes writing can be torture. But you just even the good stuff when you're really into writing a screenplay, 3 a.m. and nobody's around to make sure you're doing your work, and you only have yourself to police. Sometimes you just got to force yourself to push through it and get to the end of the first draft, and you just go back and rewrite it. It's okay if it's crap.
That's true. I was going to ask you, do you force yourself? Do you make yourself write a certain amount a day, or do you just write when the inspiration hits?
When I'm writing a screenplay, I set myself a schedule, and I need to get this done in a month or in 2 months, and I need to get the first draft done in 60 days or whatever. I go, okay, I have to write 10 pages today, and sometimes that's easy. I'm like, oh man, that was great. So other days it's like, oh my God, is there something else I can do right now? Because I'm really not into it right now, and that happens sometimes. Go watch a movie or go fold some laundry or whatever, play with your baby, and then you come back and write 10 pages later. I think you should at least try to write like an hour a day if you can manage the time sometime during your day. It's like going to the gym. Sometimes you don't feel motivated to go to the gym, but once you're there and once you're doing it, it's like, oh, I'm glad I did that. I feel great. So it's kind of the same thing. It's like exercise for your brain,
Yeah, I always tell people, okay, trick yourself. Tell yourself, I'm only going to write for 5 minutes. It's no big deal. Even if it's bad, I'm just going to do it. And most often you'll get past that 5 minutes, and next thing you know, it'll be 10, 20, whatever. And even if you don't think you have the time, 5 minutes a day, by the end of the year, you're going to have your script. Now, it may not be perfect, but you're going to have it.
Yeah, the big thing is finishing it. Then you can go back and retweak it and retool it to where you want it. But if you can finish a feature screenplay, that in and of itself is an achievement. You should pat yourself on the back and then get back to work.
Right, exactly, because it is not easy. And, I'll have judges, and, they'll read scripts, and, sometimes they're harsh. And to me, if you finished a script and you submitted it, woohoo, it's party time, because that's huge. I don't care if the format's wrong, the story's crazy. You did it. Now, it may not be a finalist, but you still did it. Cheers.
I would much rather, exactly, I agree with you. I would much rather read a screenplay that's got formatting issues, or even if it's written on a dinner napkin. If it's got great characters and a great story, I'd rather read that than a perfectly formatted screenplay that there's like nothing going on. It's like like a good balance of the two. Yeah, much better. Yeah. So and again, I do applaud anyone that can finish a screenplay. It takes dedication to do that. It really does.
It sure does. Now, I know, like I said in the intro, you've done all aspects of filmmaking, which I think is wonderful because you can relate to the sound guy and you know what he's gone through and the editor, et cetera. What project so far are you most proud of?
Well, we've done 3 short films together, like 3 completed short films that have played at festivals. We had an attempt at a feature film that didn't really go the way we wanted it to, so it's kind of just like a lost project. But as far as like shooting stuff, I could get into a whole hour about that thing right there. So maybe next time we can talk about that. Our first short film, we were kind of down in the dumps because of that feature film fiasco, and we just didn't really know where we were going or what we were going to do with this stuff.
So wait, you did the feature film before the short?
We got right out of film school, and we thought that we knew everything about everything, and we were like, we're just going to do a feature film horror anthology, and we're just going to do it.
But you know what? I applaud that. That's brave.
It's brave. It was also a bad idea because we were ill-equipped we didn't have enough pre-production time.
Okay, tell us what happened, because you might save someone the same thing.
Yeah, you know
Seriously.
what? I don't want to talk bad about Full Sail. I liked my time at Full Sail, but failing at that movie was a better film school than going to film school. And
I'm sure you're in
learning
the thick.
from your mistakes. Exactly. Well, we didn't give ourselves enough pre-production time. We also thought that we knew everything. Now that we were out of film school, we're like, we'll show them. We know what we're doing. That kind of attitude, that's the wrong attitude to have when you make a feature film, FYI. You know, the cast that we had was great. They were really good sports, but you know, we got a bad makeup artist. We had no fight choreographer for our action scenes. We had great locations. We had a great cast. Everything else was just, we had to go back and ADR because we had a bad mic for one of our cameras. We used two different cameras, which is a terrible idea. Don't ever do that. We had a DSLR and we had like a prosumer camera. That was a bad idea. So we lost a whole bunch of data on one of the SD cards in the DSLR camera that we couldn't get back because we got it off of eBay. Also a bad idea. So we had to bring everybody back in to do ADR, which we spent thousands of dollars in ADR. We never finished it because 3 or 4 members of our cast disappeared into thin air. One of them unfortunately passed away, which was terrible. So yeah, it was the shoot from hell.
Is any of it usable?
No, maybe for like a documentary. We could do like a bootleg cut of the movie and do like a documentary on what not to do when you get right out of film school. And I think people would actually take a valuable lesson from that. Yeah.
Wow.
So, so needless to say, after that, we were kind of down in the dumps, and you know, it wasn't until a year or two after, because we came back the year later to do reshoots. We're like, we're going to fix this movie. We're going to do some reshoots, and that's when we did ADR, and then that fell apart, and we realized that this movie might not be saved. And so the year after that, 2 years after principal photography, me and Chad and I, my friend Chad Farmer, who's our other associate, that I co-directed our short films with, we're both really into film festivals. We love going to festivals, even if we don't have anything there, and just watching movies. So we were at a festival in North Carolina, and we were like, well, what are we going to do? We have to do something. We have to make something. And we kind of just came up with this idea about these disgruntled filmmakers who were tired of being rejected from film festivals, and they decided to kidnap a festival director and force him to accept their terrible films. And you know, they
now, Nathan, I've always been very kind to you, right? I've been very kind to you, right, Nathan?
It was more of a commentary on bad filmmakers than it was on festival directors. So
okay.
But it was shot in black and white. We shot it on Super 8mm. We got a camera off eBay that actually worked this time, and we shot that in like 2 days, and it for a very small budget, small cast, small crew, and it turned out well. We called it Late Submission, which apparently was confusing to a lot of people in the days before Film Freeway because they just thought that it was a late submission. That wasn't the title of the film. So when we got into some film festivals, they didn't have a title for the movie. So, but it did. It actually, it did very well. Like I said, this is before Film Freeway, so I wasn't even aware of how many festivals were out there. So we submitted to about a dozen festivals, and we got into about 4 or 5 festivals, which was actually really good numbers for your first film. So we got into the first year of the Chattanooga Film Festival, which was exciting, and we got into a couple other good festivals.
That's great.
And so that was a good little run. So that kind of renewed us to say, okay, we're pretty decent at this. I mean, at this level, and keep going and making some more short films and writing some more screenplays. So that was probably the movie that we're most proud of because it actually, you know, reignited our passion for filmmaking.
Good. Well, you know, Nathan, there are so many people that say, if you're going to make a movie, don't do a short. Just go straight into the feature. But
I don't know, though. I mean, if you have all the money in the world,
overwhelming.
You know, it can be overwhelming, and it was overwhelming for us. If you have all the money in the world and you have all the support and backing and whatever, go ahead and make a feature film. No one's telling you what to do, but if you want to get some experience and get some confidence, I recommend making a couple short films. They're like business cards almost, and they're great to put on your resume, and they're great to show people. And it's a great opportunity, as you know, to get out to film festivals. You're not going to make a bunch of money off of a short film, but you can get to a film festival, have your film screen in front of a feature film or in front of a block of films, and you can network with other filmmakers. That's the key right there, is to take a short film to festivals and meet other people, and there you go. So that's what I think is most important, but that's just me.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's the networking because, people come to Shriekfest every year and they're meeting other people, and the next thing they're teaming up and making a project for the next year, which is so exciting. So,
exactly.
And then, what gets me is filmmakers will submit, and if they don't get in, I offer them a free pass to the festival. And and this could be local LA people, and some do not take advantage of that. And I think it's like going to free film school. Go. You watch what got in, see what people did, chat with the filmmakers. And I just don't understand why people don't take advantage. Like you said, you enjoy just to go to film festivals.
And you guys are in Los Angeles. It's a perfect opportunity to meet people in not just the horror community, but in the filmmaking community that you can possibly make a connection with. And that's a perfect opportunity. I would take it if I lived there. I still need to come out to Shriekfest. I'm going to come out there one year. It's just, I definitely do.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
It sounds like
Where are you at
great
now?
Time. I'm in Richmond, Virginia. That's where I live.
Virginia.
So it's a nice city. It's not as bad traffic as living in D.C., which is a couple hours away, which I would never live.
Oh yeah.
But no, I like it. Richmond, Virginia. It's nice. It's a nice little city.
Cool.
Quiet.
Now, do you remember the first horror film you saw that left an impression, and what was it?
Man, putting me on the spot here. Let me think. Probably, my dad tells me the first movie I ever saw in a theater was E.T., and I was scared of E.T., and I screamed my head off, and he had to take me out of the theater.
Aww.
So that was my first theater experience when I was 3 when that movie came out.
3?
But, yeah. They thought I was big enough for E.T., and I it was probably,
Well, E.T.'s kind of scary. I mean, a 3-year-old's not seen anything quite like that.
It was probably the scene where he, screams at Elliot or whatever. I was probably, nope, I'm out of here.
Oh, and did you have nightmares?
I don't remember this at all, but everybody keeps wanting to tell me the story that I screamed and cried at E.T., so apparently
now,
I did.
If you see it now, do you like the movie now?
I've never watched it all the way through since. I guess that's why.
Oh my gosh, you need to. It's cute.
I know. I have a 2-year-old daughter, so she's getting close to that age. So when she's
let me tell you.
We'll watch it.
My daughter, she just turned 9, and we showed this to her. I think when she was 6 or 7, and she's watching it, and she's not reacting. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I bawled through this movie. And we did have company. It was around Christmas, and so she's not really reacting. And then the movie ends, and people are like, what'd you think? She's like, yeah, it was good. I pulled her in the back room, and I said, honey, what's going on? And bawling. She just bawled. She held me. She's like, why? Why would they make this movie? And all this horrible things happen. And I'm looking at her kind of going, you're right. Why do they make movies that make us feel horrible? And she just got me thinking. I'm like, well, honey, sometimes it's good to feel that love and that pain that he went through. But she just was holding it all in front of all our relatives. And then she just couldn't take it anymore, and she just sobbed and sobbed. So make sure she's a little bit older so she can handle that grief.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll probably wait till at least 5 or 6 then. Cause thematically, emotionally, it's a pretty rough movie for kids to sit through. I mean, it's an emotional roller coaster. So, the classics. I've got
really
all the classics lined up for her. So all the great 80s movies, I've got them all lined up, and I can't wait to show them all to her.
I know. you know, it's so funny that you say that because I'm finding that one of the greatest things, like we just figured we think Back to the Future is probably appropriate for her and it's probably safe.
Yeah.
So we want to show her that, like we're showing her all these movies as we can. But like I know I was in love with Grease back probably around her current age, and there's no way I would show it to her right now. There's no way.
No. There's different time.
But my mom showed me.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah,
you know,
it's like we showed her Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. She got a big kick out of that movie. But it's funny to go back.
I remember going to the theater to see that one. Yeah.
Yeah. What when you go to the movie theater, what do you eat? Are you a popcorn guy, candy guy, or both?
I stick to like popcorn, no butter. You know, gotta stay away from the bad stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, like a diet soda or a water is fine with me. So you know, my days
any candy.
Chomping on bags of candy are over. Yeah, I try to stay away from that stuff now. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I just don't. It's too much sugar for me. So.
Oh no, there is a lot wrong with it. There's a lot wrong with it. But we all do it.
I'm not judging anyone who does. It's just not for me.
Right. Right. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Do you get to the movie often?
I go to
the 2-year-old
all the time. Yeah.
Do you still?
You know, my wife is absolutely fantastic. My wife Mary, she is the best woman in the world. She's cool with me going to the movies once a week as long as it's late at night and it's not in the way for anything. Like so I'll go to like a 10:30 showing. And that's like my thing. That's like my church kind of, and I just go do that. So, and I just make sure it's a movie that she doesn't want to see.
Right, exactly right. You better not jip her.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when we had our daughter, like we went to the movies every weekend, and now like people will say, "Have you seen blah blah blah?" And I'm like, "No, what is that?" Like I'm just so clueless. If it's a kids movie, I know them all.
Yeah, we're getting to that point here. Probably about a year or so, we're going to be taking her to all the kids' movies. So I was like, now I have an excuse to watch all these kids' movies that look really good.
Yes, they're fun. So. And you know what? You'll have to tell me when you first take her, because my daughter, like, you know how loud it is in there. She was freaked out about the noise, and she was freaked out that the lights went out.
Oh, really?
Kind of like, what is happening here? And things we take for granted, like I wouldn't even have thought that would bother her.
Right.
But because they're not
you never know what's
that.
gonna. It's every kid is different. What's gonna make them go, wait, what's going on right now? So my daughter was freaked out at the pool. When we put her in a swimming pool, she's like, what is this?
Oh.
So she loves it now though, but at first she's like, I don't know about this.
I'm sure. Can you imagine though? It's like, wait, what is this? It's weird, and you're splashing it on me, and I don't think I like it. Yeah, I just can't imagine all these new things they go through.
Now every day she's like, pool? You going to the pool?
Oh.
Like, all right, you were just in the pool, all right? We'll wait for a little bit. Yeah, she's the best. She's adorable. Yeah.
What's her name?
So, her name is Georgiana, but we just call her Georgie. So, she's the best. Yeah. Almost 2 years old.
Wow.
I still can't believe I'm a dad. It's so weird and so cool at the same time. Like, because we had kids a little bit later. We're in our mid to late 30s, so we had her a little bit later than I don't know what the trend is now. I have no idea, but it's just kind of nice that we just. I think that is the trend. Yeah, we waited for a while, and it's nice now that we're at an age now where we're not like, oh my God, we have kids too early or whatever, and now it's just we have a daughter, and this is great. We're capable of taking care of her.
Exactly. We kept her alive. We did it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and to answer your question earlier, I don't think I ever answered. I think one of the earliest horror movies that scarred me was probably Candyman. I think that one, that's so effective. That movie holds up still. And, just the whole thing when your kids, don't say Candyman 3 times or whatever, or 5 times, and he'll come and get you. That stuff's scary when you're a kid. When you're a little kid,
yes.
That's the stuff.
Yes, it is.
My sister won't watch that movie.
Oh, she won't?
No, she's terrified of that movie because she's 3 years younger than me, so she was super duper affected by that, even more than me. So she won't watch that movie.
Oh my God! Well, Tony Todd, I know him. He comes to Shriekfest. So yeah.
That's awesome.
I know.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he seems like a good guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he really is nice. For all the crazy things he's done in films, he's a nice guy.
That's usually how it is. Like, horror people, they can have the most crazy stuff on screen and they turn out to be just the nicest people in real life because they get it all out on the screen.
Right, exactly. I know. People are like, well, aren't you worried about all these filmmakers being really crazy? I go, no, they are getting it all out. If they have any crazy in them, it's out.
Yeah, they are. They're the most well-adjusted filmmakers there are.
Exactly. How many scripts have you written, would you say?
Well, I've written about 3 with my writing partner, Charles. Mm-hmm. I've written about 2 with my writing partner, Chad. Those are kind of grindhousey scripts, exploitation kind of stuff.
Features?
And then myself, features, yes.
Okay.
One's called Love Potion 666, and another one is called Dead of Night. And because he's really into like a lot of the kind of just trashy kind of exploitation grindhouse stuff, so I work with him on that stuff. And myself, cool. I've written about 3 or 4 scripts by myself, and I'm working on another one right now, so I'm trying to get that out to some competitions and some festivals, hopefully by the end of the year. So I've got other things, including, running some other things right now that's kind of in the way where I wish I could just sit down and write. But it's soon I'll be able to.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for other screenwriters, in particular about like doing film festivals or competitions or?
Well, the thing about screenwriters can be kind of very. And it's not their fault. They can be a little bit introverted just because the job itself of writing is very lonely. I mean, unless you have a co-writer, it's just you writing by yourself, and nobody's telling you how many pages they need unless you're working for a studio or whatever. But it's kind of a lonely job, and a lot of writers are kind of introverted, and some of them may feel that they don't need to go to a film festival because it's a screenplay. But I highly recommend. They
do feel that way.
They
only come for the award show, some of them, and it's like, what are you doing?
You need to some of the recommendations I should make for screenwriters, if you're listening right now or you're going to listen, make sure you have like a little poster or a postcard for your screenplay, like just some information and a cool little graphic, and you can go to the film festival, attend the film festival more than just the award ceremony, talk to people. Talk to directors, talk to producers, and just kind of mingle. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I don't feel like networking. Sometimes I just want to go watch movies and have a drink. But you got to get yourself out there. You got to mingle with the other filmmakers. Be like, hey, I'm a writer. I mean, I don't know how many times I've met other writers who are like, I just wish somebody would I could meet up with a producer or director that would want to direct my work. I mean, there are so many good screenwriters out there that want to just hook up with filmmakers and have their stuff made, and they're all on the kind of the same level. They want to get their stuff noticed, they want to get their work recognized, so they're available for very little money or for no money at all to start off with. And I think a lot of writer-directors out there, not that there's anything wrong with that, they want to do everything themselves, and that's great, that's very admirable, but I think a lot of screenwriters get kind of thrown by the wayside because of that. And a lot of directors don't realize that there are a sea of really good screenwriters that would love to work with them. And it cuts the work in half. So I highly recommend directors and producers to seek out more screenwriters. And I highly recommend screenwriters to get yourself out there and really start networking. Go to these festivals that you get into. If you can afford it, go to these festivals and start talking to people. You'd be surprised with who you meet, and you never know, you might get a short screenplay. Like maybe you have a short script in your back pocket, and you meet a director that wants to say, hey, you know what, why don't you send me that script, and we'll see about making it. And there you go. You've got a credit right there. You just don't know who you're going to meet until you get there. Sometimes it's a bust, but sometimes you can make some great connections.
Exactly. Great advice. I mean, that happened last year. There was a director of a feature film who ended up winning Best Sci-Fi Feature Film, and a guy who he had a commercial he had submitted, but his short film did not make the cut of Shriekfest. He came anyway, met this director in, the festival was October. In January, they were shooting a short together that the guy who didn't make it in the festival had written, and he showed this director, and he fell in love with it. So it happens all the time. And,
I have a great example of that.
Yeah?
If you don't mind. I have a great example.
Yeah,
Last November, I was in a screenplay competition for the Buffalo Dreams Fantastic Film Festival run by Greg Lamberson, who's a great director in and of himself.
Yeah.
He's done some great films. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to drive to Buffalo. It's like 9 or 10 hours from my house. So I said, I'm going to drive up to Buffalo for the weekend, and I'm going to just hang out. And I did. I met some great people, and I think I won second place in the screenplay competition overall. I had another screenplay in there that won honorable mention, and I won second place overall for another screenplay. So when I accepted my award, they let us say something. So I got up there and I said, hey, you know what? I'm a screenwriter. I'm willing to work with anybody. I just want to get my stuff out there, and I want to get some of my stuff made. If anyone in the room, wants to talk after the award ceremony, I'd love to talk with you about screenplays. And I got a whole bunch of people come up to me after the award ceremony saying, hey, can you send me your script? Send me your script. So right now I've got 2 or 3 options, possibilities of getting work, spec work off of that film festival, and I'm still talking to them right now. So I highly recommend to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to go out on a limb, and you never know what you'll get as a screenwriter. Just put yourself out there.
Exactly. And at Shriekfest, we have the option of, because years ago I was like, okay, the filmmakers, they have their film showing. What can I do for the screenwriters? So I came up with the idea that it's optional. If you want, make a small poster. It can be something you make on your computer. You don't have to put a lot of effort into it. And we put up the posters at the festival.
Right.
Well, what ends up happening is people go, when is that showing? And then I say, oh, that's a script. And then they're like, whoa, really? Who's the writer? And they want to talk to the person because they saw the poster.
There's
like you were saying,
tangible that they can see. Exactly.
Yeah, pass out the little postcards, your business cards, whatever it may be. It's all extremely helpful.
Super helpful, yep.
Do you have a favorite quote or inspirational author that you like to listen to or read?
Well, my favorite artist, an author, he's a songwriter. His name is Warren Zevon. He's my absolute favorite singer-songwriter, and I guess you can call him an author, but I use him as inspiration because his lyrics are the best poetry I've ever read, and it's great inspiration for me to keep writing. I play his music when I write. When I'm not writing and I want to think about writing, I play his stuff. But as far as authors, I love Stephen King, H.P. Lovecraft, Elmore Leonard, people like that just have a real way with words.
Yeah.
And I'm really trying to read. I have a bad habit of not reading for a while, and I'm just started getting back into really reading a lot of books because I think that's just as important as watching a lot of movies and reading a lot of screenplays is reading a lot of books too. So I'm trying to balance that now too. It's so
what they say, readers are
consume.
Leaders, is absolutely true. Must read. I discovered something, I think it's been a couple years now, but this is amazing. It will change your life. Okay, so if you go for walks, which you should, I tell everyone you should go for, even if it's a 10-minute walk, go for a walk every day. But what I did was I pulled up on my phone YouTube, okay, and they have all kinds of books, like Napoleon Hill is phenomenal. Pull up his books, they're on there, and listen to them while you're walking. I mean, you could do Anthony Robbins is on there, any motivational speaker is on there. And listen while you walk. It will change your life.
That sounds great. I do try to go for walks every day. I want to get it up to 2 walks a day, one in the morning, one in the evening. So
perfect.
That might actually motivate me to, and in addition to going to the gym too, which, like I said, you're like, I got to go to the gym. But once you're there, I'm like, this is great. I could work out for 2 hours, but you got to get yourself there first.
But when you start your day, first of all, you're moving, so you're physical, and then you're hearing all these great motivational words. You get back and you're just ready for whatever may be staring you in the face and whatever you have to make time for.
It's like a cup of coffee.
Right. Except better for you.
Except better for you, exactly. I'm not a coffee drinker. That's what I hear.
Me either.
That coffee's I don't drink coffee.
Me either. I always say, am I the only one in this world that doesn't drink coffee? But hey, I've met you now. Right.
Exactly.
And I do lots of affirmations, and I write things down, write goals down. So important. Do you do that as well?
I do. I have my to-do list for the day, but I kind of try to turn that into a motivational thing where I turn it into kind of like a little narrative, not really necessarily a diary, but just more like, this is what needs to happen tomorrow. But I write it in my own style, my own vernacular, so it's kind of like a catchy little, almost like a little prose kind of paragraph. And it just helps me get motivated for like, all right, this isn't boring. I made it fun, and we're going to do this today. So, yeah, that helps me get motivated in kind of a weird way. I don't even know if I just explained that right, but that's what I do.
No, yeah. I want to share a quote with you that I love. There's a difference between interest and commitment. When you're interested in doing something, you do it when it's convenient. When you are committed to something, you accept no excuses.
That's great. Yeah.
Isn't that great? I mean, we're all interested in some things, but we don't take the time to make the time to do them because we're not committed to them.
Exactly. I agree with you. When my daughter was about to be born, just ahead of that, I was like, I have got to do something. Like, I got to make something happen here as far as like creatively. So I was like, I need to do this, this, and this before she's born. And then as soon as she's born, I need to do this, this, and this. So I sat down that day and I wrote a screenplay, and I got it done within a month. And that was, and at the same time, I don't know if we're going to talk about this later or not. It doesn't matter. But I started my own film festival. I was like, stop making excuses about it and make it happen. Make it happen, if not for you, for your family. And I did that too. I made that happen. And you're right. If you're committed to something, you'll make it happen, So I agree with that 100%.
Okay, so first of all, what made you decide you wanted to start a film festival? People ask me, so what would your advice be? And I say, don't do it. And they laugh, and I go, I'm serious. So
don't
why?
Do it is correct.
Why did you start?
I don't know. I'm obsessed. I am hopelessly obsessed with movies. I have an encyclopedic knowledge of movies. I know.
Yes, but you can just go to the movies. You don't have to do a film festival. It's
I know,
so much
but
work.
I felt like it is a lot of work, and I know that now. But last year was the honeymoon phase. It was like, oh, this is the first year. We're going to do such a great job. Everybody's going to love us. And now the second year, it's like we got twice as many submissions, and we're in a bigger venue, and there's more of a spotlight on us. And now we're like, oh my God, can we just stop and say it was a 1-year thing? Because now it's like, oh.
And Nathan, I say that. Let me rephrase. So up to about 3 years ago, I said that every year. Every year I would say, I'm never doing this again. I am never doing this again. I love the people. I love the projects. I can't take it anymore. It's too much work. I'm an actor.
It's a lot of work.
I only want to act. What am I doing? And then I'd get sucked back in. Yeah.
Once submissions open up again and you start getting those submissions, and you're like, well, wait a minute, this isn't so bad. Like, this is kind of cool.
Right.
No, I'm the same way. Like, I'm a writer. Like, right now, we're in the middle of a festival season. Our festival is in September 7th through the 10th, so we're getting ready to. Our schedule is done. We're selling tickets, and we're getting ready, and I'm promoting all the stuff. And right now, I just want to sit down, and I just want to watch a movie, and then I want to write a screenplay, and I don't want to be bothered with this stuff. But this is what I'm doing right now, and I have to do it until September. So, but I love doing it. I love meeting the people, like you said. I love showcasing other people's work. It's not about us for a change. It's about other people and showcasing their screenplays and their movies and just hanging out. It's like having a good time. I'm sure, I don't know about you, but when I'm at the festival, I'm running around, and I like running around and just talking to people and coordinating things and making sure everything's going well. I like being on the floor and just interacting with people. It's exhausting, but at the same time, it's fun. But I just like
it is exhausting.
It's so great to see when somebody you invited to come to the film festival shows up, and you're like, hey, man, it's great to see you. And it's a compliment that they're actually at your festival, that they thought it was important enough to be at your festival. So I like that part.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is. And, I finally, after many, 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 many years, stopped saying I quit every year. I think I just was like, okay, yes. And the realization was how many people would be sad that Shriekfest was no longer.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me realize this is something I have to do because it's helping
you're committed
people.
To it. Exactly.
Yeah.
You're committed to it.
But and then you could commit me after the festival's over.
Well, what the easy thing and the hard thing would be at the same time is you just have somebody else watch all the stuff. That way you don't have to watch it. But at the same time, you're like, I should be watching some of this stuff. It's my festival.
Well, you know what? I've tried that.
Mm-hmm.
I tried just like, okay, I'm just going to have the judges pick this year, even though I was still sneaking and watching anyway just to see. Oh, no, it doesn't work because
no, it doesn't.
Everyone has their own opinions. And quite honestly, okay, let's say I have an editor judge films. He's looking at the editing, which is, what you do. I'm an actor. I look at the acting in a different way than you might. And
exactly.
So you're ending up with all these different views, and something that I might give 10s across the board on, people are giving 7s and 8s, and then when you add up the totals, it like doesn't work, and you end up having things that are making the cut that shouldn't be. So it's hard. Yeah,
I learned the hard way. One judge doesn't like sci-fi films at all, so you can't give him sci-fi films. It doesn't matter how good it is because he'll give it a 2. And then another judge hates horror films. He doesn't want horror films. He wants sci-fi films. So you have to, you have to cater to them specifically and be like, okay, here's what you like, because I don't know. I have weird judges. They're great people, and they go through so much material, but they're just a riot because they're like, I don't want this, this, and this. And then I'm like, all right, prima ballerina, is there anything else that you need to, But no, we're lucky to have the judges that we have, because most people, when you recruit for judges, like, yeah, sure, I'll be a judge, and then they'll watch 2 things and then they'll quit. And we're lucky to have a handful of judges that are so good at their job, and they watch hundreds upon hundreds of submissions, and they don't complain at all. So, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we're good so far.
Right. And just a tip, I'm sure you already figured this out, the ones that judge just a few and quit, put their name down on your list in a file, so when they ask again, 5 years from now, you can politely say no because you know the result.
Oh, we have a mental Rolodex of people that we know that are either didn't support the festival when we reached out to them, or have disappointed us. They know who they are, and we'll remember who they are. And we remember the people that support the festival and support our creative endeavors, and you lift everybody up as you go along. That's just the way it is. Right. Well, I wish you the best of luck with it. Don't go bigger than you are ready for, if that makes sense. No, I do not want to go bigger than I'm ready for. So it's just this year alone, we move into an Alamo Drafthouse. So that's our big leap. That's amazing. Year. We're gonna stay relatively that size next year too. So we're not gonna try to get too big for our britches. Yeah. Good. We are almost out of time. So where can people find you, Nathan? Are you on Facebook, Twitter? Well, you can find me as myself, as a writer / filmmaker / whatever guy. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Lugenhausen. That's LOOGENHAUSEN, Lugenhausen, on Twitter and Instagram. I got a personal page on Facebook. It's just Nathan Ludwig. If you want to add me on Facebook and you really want to watch me post about movies and food, then you're more than welcome to. We also have our production company on Facebook. It's called Farmwig Hill Films. It's just like it sounds, Farmwig Hill Films. We have our production page on Facebook too, and those are the ways you can reach us. We are going to, it's going to cut us off in like 20 seconds. Thank you for coming on the show. This was so much fun. Loved getting to know you. It was a pleasure to be on the show. I loved it. Yes. Oh, thank you. And if you need things tweeted out, just tweet them to Shriekfest. I'll help you get the word out on your projects. And good luck with the festival. And good luck to your festival. I'll definitely be following it very closely. Thank you. You have a great night. Thank you. You too. Right, bye-bye. Good night, Denise. Good night.